Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Energy Box organizers. Very good organized. Thank you, keynote speaker. Okay. And thank you, audience. My name is Yathip, Energy Advisor. Thank you. I'm happy to be here. I would like to introduce the first Mr. India Susanto, Chief Technology Organizer from Quantum Power Asia. Dr. Supha from Super Energy, Kun Sumet from AFRY, and Mr. Richard Scott from Jera Next, and Bedwa from Amazon Web Service, and Dr. Wirachai from TRECA. Okay, we have time for 40 minutes. 40 minutes, the time limitation. Okay, I think it's not go on step by step. The first question, okay? Mr. India, okay. How to cooperate national determine contribution NDC in ASEAN to synergize involve supply and demand for renewable and net zero solution. Okay.
Well, thank you for the question. So that's an interesting question, because if we step back a little bit, and why are we doing it, right? Why are we installing solar? Why are we doing renewables? The next level up is like, well, we gotta meet our NDC at the country level. But then, what does it mean when one country meets its NDC, but its neighboring countries don't? We're still not going to save, climate change, etc. So really, the question is about how do we collaborate, how do we work together to really make a real change, right? Not just for like Amazon meeting your own net zero goals and etc. or other companies. I had a meeting with Indorama this morning. It's not just about us meeting our own goals, or even the countries meeting its own goals, but really it's a bigger picture. I'm working on a couple of projects where we're building solar PV in Indonesia to be exporting solar into Singapore, which is a perfect condition, because Singapore's tiny, as you all know. There's no way they can build gigawatt of solar. You just can't do it. There's not enough space. Whereas in this case, Indonesia has the resource, but not the demand. So it's a perfect condition, and these are the kind of collaboration that we need more of, so that we can actually make a real impact, make a real difference in why we're doing why are we here today, right? Sure, we do business, we make network, but in the end, we're really going to make a real difference in climate change.
Thank you for short brief. Okay, it's a good point, good idea. Okay. Dr. Supha, okay, your turn. Okay, how to manage your business involved greenhouse gas emission, such as policy, renewable energy, reduce the carbon.
Okay, before I go to detail, I will explain myself. Xin chào, I come from Vietnam. Actually, I'm named look like Thai and I'm Thai. But I'm working in Vietnam for 6 years. In the last 6 or 7 years in Vietnam, compared to Thailand, they have very limited of solar, and wind. Now they have solar 20 gigawatt. You can count how many times they hire in Thailand. And wind, they have 4 gigawatt. So that is the level of very fast for renewable energy. So how to do for, I call it GHG, right, for the job application. In every company also know that how to do, and we practice in the same, including in our business in Vietnam. Even we are super energy in Thailand, but the practice and everything quite different from the law in Vietnam. They don't have like ERC in Thailand, so they develop and how they do it, they focus, and they, if I'm not use the wrong word, it's like they look around in the country, and Thailand is benchmarking and how Vietnam look, and now they implement. At first that they start with the high tariff, and after that the tariff is going down. A bit compared to Thailand, we have a new PDP, right? They also have PDPS now in the package, and they also have the PPA also. I can look around at the mirror of from two countries, Thailand, Vietnam. It's like they also look what is Thailand doing, and then they also copy and sorry to use copy because they do very fast and develop and say that modify. Okay? For TSG, how we implement, of course, like we implement in every like cost saving, energy saving, and everything like implement solar rooftops in our solar plant and as much as what we can. I want to talk something like this because of and stop it because many people can share more than me in the overall picture. Okay, see you next round. In Vietnam we can thank you, cảm ơn.
Okay, very clear. Thank you, Dr. Sukai. Very good idea. Into the point to be energy transition for super energies. Very good. Next person, Mr. Sumet. Okay, for AFRY. How do you using new technology and innovation in wind, solar, and energy storage? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Kunbacha. Thank you, everyone, and thanks to the organizer for inviting us. It's quite a broad question, and I think the list would be endless if we start talking about each and every aspect, but maybe I'll try to touch upon a few things which probably are moving forward in this sector in renewable energy per se, and particularly for solar energy, wind, and battery. So, in terms of new technologies, I think most of us are aware that bifacial solar PV modules are already in commercial operation. I mean, in gigawatt level. So it gives the benefit of having production, energy production from both the sides of the solar module panel. So that's one of the key technology which is probably helping fastening the process of net zero or the installation and getting more energy production. In sense, overall solar projects, then I think floating PV projects are coming up and a lot in this region and elsewhere in the world because it solves the problem and it solves the challenge of land acquisition. And since the technology is advancing, so we are having more stable floats, more stable installation, anchoring and mooring, which is helping these kind of installations to grow more in this region. In terms of batteries, I think flow batteries and NAS batteries, I think these types of batteries are now becoming more popular. I mean, in the sense, still lithium-ion is, I think, more than 90% of all the installation everywhere in the world. But I think I believe these technologies, including flow and mass, would try to fill the gaps wherever it is possible. I'm not a wind person, I'm more of a solar and energy storage, but for wind I think more we go towards the ocean, we try to develop the technologies more towards the ocean. I think that is going to help the wind sector and to have more efficient wind energy production. So I think that's probably some of the technologies which I think we all are working and I think are looking forward for having more advancement.
Thank you, Mr. Suke. Very good. Okay. Next person. Okay. Mr. Richard. Okay. As we know, Jera next you run 11 weeks old, right? That's right. Okay. Why did you run Jera next? What's going?
Thanks, and nice to be here. So, for those who don't know, Jera is one of the largest power generation companies in the world. We have a global installed capacity of 73 gigawatts across 18 countries and have been around for about 9 years, headquartered in Japan. 11 weeks ago, we established Jera Next, which is our global renewables business that will consolidate our renewables portfolio around the world and seek to grow that portfolio from about 3 gigawatts net operating capacity today to 20 gigawatts net by 2035. Jera historically has been very active in Thailand and across the wider APAC region, and so we see this market and this part of the world as being a really key growth area for that. We have a team of around 300 people, and we're looking to set up some regional hubs in Singapore and also here in Thailand to recruit people to go out and help us deliver on our objectives. But beyond that, Jera has like what we heard earlier about the Thailand government, we have an objective of full decarbonisation of our global portfolio by 2050, and in doing that, renewables is one part of it. The other part of it is doing more in low carbon and LNG, recognising that every country is not quite at the same stage in their decarbonisation journey, as we heard earlier this morning as well from the keynote speaker. Furthermore, we're seeking to do a lot more in the generation of low carbon fuels and using renewable energy to create low carbon fuels. We have around 15 projects in active development around the world at the moment, and we're looking to do more in that. I think though, just to touch on some of the other points that have been mentioned, you know, I'm from Scotland and it's not quite as sunny there as it is here, and out for a run this morning, you really feel the heat of the sun quite quickly, and so this part of the world has a fantastic opportunity through some of the research and innovation that we've already heard about to really harness that. I heard recently a statistic that there's enough energy from the sun that hits our planet in one day to power the world for a year, and so there's huge potential here, and through local partners, through working with governments, we want to try and do our part to help enable and to facilitate that, not just with solar, but with storage, recognising that there needs to be some flexibility in power grids to be able to cope with the intermittency of renewables. And if there's any lessons learned from other parts of the world, we're seeing in various parts of Europe and North America and even the Middle East just now that increased penetration of renewables creates bigger problems down the line, which hopefully we'll talk about later on as well.
Okay. Thank you, Richard. Okay. Jera is TEPCO, is the partnership, and also invest in EGAP in Thailand, so it's a big player. Okay. Thank you to join for energy transition together in Thailand. Okay. In the next person, your turn, Mr. Benwa from Amazon Web Service. Okay. What strategy and initiative has Amazon implemented to expedite its journey toward net zero and carbon emission? Okay, thank you.
Thank you for inviting, and good morning, everyone. So in 2019, Amazon co-founded the Climate Pledge together with Global Optimism with the aim to reach net zero by 2040, 10 years ahead of the Paris agreements. Since then, more than 450 signatories has joined the Climate Pledge across 36 countries. So Amazon, as the first signatory, we have progressed and we are on path to reach 100% of our global electricity consumption with renewable energy by 2025, which is 5 years ahead of our initial goal, which was 2030. To reach that ambitious objective, we have been since 2020 every year the largest corporate buyer of renewable energy, and our investments has reached 28 gigawatts of solar and renewable energy on grids globally through approximately 500 projects. Once all these projects will come online, some are already, but some are in construction, it will be the equivalent consumption of 7.2 million US homes. And that's for renewable energy. Of course, we also committed with AWS, so the data center subsidiary of Amazon, committed to sustainability and efficiency on our infrastructures. So we're continually innovating in that space to reduce energy and water consumptions.
Thank you, Benwa. Okay, very good. It's a big investor in the big amount for the money to invest in Thailand. Thank you, our web Amazon. I heard that one substation consume energy 50 megawatt, and Amazon invest to green energy 100%. Okay, very good news. Okay, and the next person, Dr. Wirachai from TRECA. Okay, how can you contribute to sustainable development involve reduce greenhouse gas emission? Okay. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. สวัสดีครับผมอาจารย์เวชชัยนะครับจากธัญบุรีท่านมงคลนะครับ Good morning everyone. I'm from TRECA. TRECA means Thailand Renewable Energy Association for Community. This is official for government service. That we set TRECA for about 20 years ago. Since I graduated from Newcastle from England, and then what we want to do is we including with 52 universities together that we want to do about renewable energy for 20 years ago. We do the first project for King Ramana for our King project at Wirachai at Phetchaburi province in the southern part of Thailand. They did the founding of the Renewable Energy Association for 20 years. The name is TRECA, Thailand Renewable Energy Association for Community. What we want to do, we follow the step of our king, for King Ramanai, that is the one to, in that time, diesel fuel is about 40 baht per liter. So come back from England from 20 years ago, that we have a big problem, and our king want to do the third project. Energy box, the first project that in King Ramanai in Phetchaburi province, Wirachai. Our academic person try to help each other to promote that in the near future that we're going to have a big problem of climate change. And since I graduated from England, I know that about the renewable energy is going to be very important for sustainable energy development. That's why we set TRECA, and then we have the program of the doctor degree. The first doctor degree in renewable energy is setting up in 20 years ago about renewable energy. Because we are from academic, that we try to promote and we support all the private sector from internal and external in Thailand, and also the people that want to come to do the business. Since at that time, the solar energy is about 300 baht per watt. Okay, 300 baht per watt. That I remember that I do the King project, the first solar panel. Okay, 300 baht per watt. That's extremely expensive. Okay, but we don't think that in the next 20 years it's about 5 baht per watt now. That you see, it totally different. But the one thing is, we know that the climate, the weather more increasing about the temperature. Only 20 years that they're very affected to the people in the globe. Okay, and we know that the next 20 years it's going more worse. About climate, temperature rising up and flooding and extreming the depression and typhoon. What we want to do nowadays for TRECA, we have at least about 1,000 of academic person that we produce to the public in academic person. That you mean about 1,000 person that we produce to the Thailand, to technician, or EPC, the government service sector. I think at least 50% of installation of the solar and wind, that our member is the one that do the project. At least we believe that 50% from our TREC member, 52 universities together. Whatever happens in the future or nowadays, we want to promote more. And we think about the appropriate technology. That's the most important for renewable energy. Some places is not suitable for some technology. even in Thailand, we have very good food, agriculture, and land and water. Now we push in the renewable energy to about water treatment and about the environmental. It not just only generate electricity, but we're going to support all the sector for renewable energy, and that is the main purpose. And we focus in TRECA, Thailand Renewable Energy Association, and we hope that Energy Box is one of the main congress that's going to be future, and we are including here today for the future of renewable energy. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wirachai. It's okay. It's a long time ago, it's 15 years, the first PPA in Thailand. I heard that how much spend money, 120 million Thai baht per 1 megawatt. It's quite expensive. It's right now, but we have the other also, we have other 8.5 baht per kilowatt hour. Okay, this is reason why, okay, renewable boom is like a light lamp up renewable energy. Okay. Okay, we return to Mr. Andreas again, Mr. Kalau. How do you think about the policy clean electricity trade between ASEAN countries?
I think it's needed and it's already started. Cambodia and Laos is already selling into Singapore. There's already, Vietnam's already connected to several other countries, and I think that's really what's needed. ASEAN has always been lagging behind. If you look at Europe, for example, it's really well integrated. Germany can say, oh, today we're 100% renewable. Well, not really, but because of the accounting and because of the interconnectivity within Europe, you can say that, right? And I think that's what's needed in order for us to be able to say ASEAN is soon to be, net zero, where Singapore might be using more, but Indonesia or Thailand is producing a lot more renewable, right? So in the end, we can be looking at this. I mean, I just want to drive this impact that is beyond getting the net zero done or getting renewable installed. A lot of my time also gets volunteered to do rural electrification and dealing with farmers and fishermen around Indonesia and Southeast Asia. A lot of the stories from the farmers, they're saying that within their grandparents and their parents' time, they can get 3 harvests a year. And in that same time period, now the children or the grandchildren are saying, no, we're only getting 1 to 2 harvests a year. So they're already getting impact of climate change. We're not really seeing it because we go to the supermarket. We might grumble and say, look, prices have gone up 20%. Yeah, but here's the money for it. But for these guys, it's their livelihood, right? Their income is cut by half, and it's climate change that's causing that. So just to bring that back to why do we need the ASEAN grid and trade in trade of renewable electricity, especially across ASEAN, is because we want to be able to do net zero. We want to be able to say we're not producing carbon in using our energy, right? And in the end, there's actually making an impact so that these people can get their livelihood back. I'll leave it at that, but hopefully we, as people here who are working in ASEAN, we can promote that. We can start the discussion with our governments, with even with our peers, so that we can do this, and hopefully the government can figure out how to then start creating the NDC and spreading the carbon credits. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. It's a good point. For ASEAN country, I think it's okay. Wait and see, because third party as a Wirachai or like I call it like Laos to move. The investor move to Laos for energy. It's like a battery and sea solid supply to ASEAN countries. Okay. And your turn, Dr. Supa, again. What does your company do? Technology, reduce greenhouse gas and emission for sustainable development. Okay.
Thank you. Before I'm going to answer your question, I just for many of Thai people here to compare that how solar in Thailand is different in Vietnam. In Thailand, we have many small solar farms, right? 5 megawatt until 90 or 100. I'm not sure. represented what is the maximum for solar farm in Thailand, but in Vietnam, start from 30, 50, 200, or 200, and okay, maximum 200, and combine maybe 600, 700 megawatt. So it's quite big in terms of generation. And to do this is compared to in other countries. Thailand, we have very strong grid connection. This is a good point, and the pro for Thailand grid connection. Transmission line is very strong in Vietnam. The transmission line is not strong because of the country look like the east side from the north to the south, and that's why we listen about the power blackout in the north because of most of the power plant and renewable energy in the middle and in the south. So how to do the energy saving? Actually, we also recommend to government, and I heard from yesterday, Mr. Chen Hong Ha, the Deputy Ministry of called MOIT, Minister of Ministry of Industry and Trading. So they also now trying to implement the energy solar system to build in Vietnam. I think this is quite a good side, and also encourage for all household to install the energy solar system in your household. And but for us, we already implement to use any solar system because in the daytime we have plenty of energy, and in Vietnam, as you may know, they have very high power curtailment, especially on noon time because the power very high, like duck curve, and on holiday or big holiday, they have like big holiday in Vietnam, like they contact, same like Lunar New Year in China or in Thailand. So that's the thing we also implement to install solar energy in our plant, that is for energy saving. Another thing to make the energy consumption less, like the building we also high, we should only LED building that lead to make energy efficiency, and for implementing overall in our plant, we also use the lead concept. Even plant is big, we also use SCADA and computerized system to control. As what I mentioned, regulation in Thailand and Vietnam not the same. In Vietnam, per one substation, they require 4 chief engineer. But if you combine with the SCADA system, it means you can pull all of engineers together. Like instead of we have 12 engineers, we combine 3 power plant to have only one team. It means that we reduce the cost of the manpower. It reduce manpower, it means reduce carbon dioxide, reduce those of things. And last but not least, we try to implement many things like everyone also know the robot cleaning and recycle of the water uses in the solar, and we also use a very simple thing that we allow to have cow and sheep in the plant. You know what they eat? They eat grass because of if you have to cut, it costs a lot of money of the machine, oil and so on. So we allow cow, but not like to damage our panel. We make it proper. So on the animal feeding in the farm, and also to make the cycle, or how to say that is ecology, the people also feed the fish, make a cow, make a chicken. I think it look like a very happy life of the poor people who live in the farm. And that's what I want to mention, that is we try to implement, and we do it as well. Thank you so much.
Vietnam is like in population more than 100 million, right? Yeah, and this is why they consume energy a lot. And EVN from Vietnam buy some electricity from Laos for monsoon project, right? Okay, your turn, Mr. Sumesh. Okay, how do you think about energy transition, reduce greenhouse gas emission? Energy transition, what AFRY, what you think about it?
Thank you, Kunbancha. So basically, energy transition. I mean, it's a very it's a very broad topic, and then there are many faces to this topic, energy transition, but I think as we all are encountering so much heat and so much temperature rise, and the fellow speakers have already spoken about it, that in next 20 years we don't know what's going to happen. So I think that's the alarming point already. I mean, we have crossed that line already. So I think what is actually needed at this moment, we can all talk about a lot of figures, facts, and I think you can always search about many things about technology and what's happening in the world on Google or ChatGPT. You can use whatever way. But I think the most important thing to move this energy transition, to move reducing greenhouse gas emission, is to have that motivation to do that. If we lack that motivation to do that, because we are becoming, I don't want to say, but that's the fact, we are overusing what is required. So we have been now, I mean, it's in our habit now. We are overusing what is required. So once we realize that we don't want to overuse anything, we just want to use what is required, then I think that's the first principle, and their energy efficiency starts. You start taking things, doing things efficiently, and I think every minute wasted is every minute counts in terms of increasing the greenhouse gas emissions and increasing the carbon footprint. So I think if I'm speaking more than required, then also it's a waste of time for all of us. So I think that's the one thing I want to tell, that governments can bring incentives, governments can roll out some subsidies, infrastructures can be made, but I think the intent is what is required for reducing the greenhouse gas emissions and going towards a brighter future. So I think all of us can share what we have been doing. I mean, in AFRY we are conducting a lot of studies, feasibility studies, due diligence studies, power forecasting, market studies, and in all those studies we see, there is already an alarming point which we have already crossed. That's what I mentioned. So I think there are steps, definitely, all the governments and all the developers and everyone is taking. There are business ideas which everybody can adapt to, but I think it's more important that we have a motivation and we have an intent to do. If we don't have, then I think all of us are wasting time. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Suvet. Okay, good opinion from AFRY. Okay, your turn, Shah. Okay, the second question: why is collaboration with Asia region and globally important to reaching NDC target and catalyze supply and demand renewable energy in Asia region?
Yeah, I know you're running well over time, so I'll try and be brief, but I want to come back to a point that was mentioned earlier. I think it's great to have NDCs and targets, but the bigger picture here is about the impact of carbon, and one really obvious thing is a global carbon tax. And I worked on an offshore wind project in Scotland a couple of years ago, and the offshore substation was actually built, fabricated here in Thailand. And the reason why European countries like the UK can benefit from claiming to achieve greater net zero targets is because they're outsourcing a vast amount of their heavy industry to other parts of the world, like here. Now, if there was a global carbon tax and there was that global collaboration to agree to the mechanisms for that carbon tax, then that would create a much fairer and an equal and level playing field. And I don't know if there's government representation here from Asian countries, but that would be a real huge monumental shift in efforts to try and move forward this discussion and this activity in particular. I think on NDCs more generally, we've already touched on some of the points around how there can be greater coordination, how there can be the establishment of regional power pools. There's some great case studies and examples. The Nord Pool in Europe, for example, The CLSG in West Africa is another good example. I think the situation to try to avoid, though, is to get into circumstances where every country says they're going to be a net exporter of power, because then, if you look in Europe, for example, almost every country is saying that, but then where do you achieve the balance? It's quite difficult to achieve that.
Okay, thank you, Richard. I think everyone knows whatever about the CBAM and carbon tax to trade to EU 27 country. It's a tax. Carbon is very important because it's concerned to cost. It's okay, I think it's next year, start from 1st October 2025. Okay, thank you for participating. Okay, Benwa, again, what is your goal for the future energy demand increase and how to manage?
Yeah, well, as societies rely more and more on technology, the implication is that the global energy demands are also increasing significantly, especially in all the forecasts. Amazon is dedicated to address this increase in demand sustainably and efficiently. So we are innovating in 5 spaces to try to address this problem. Number 1, carbon-free energy. So in addition to solar and wind, we are also starting to look and invest in technologies such as nuclear, green hydrogen, and offshore wind. And we believe more and more of these technologies are necessary to reach our goal. And also, our $2 billion Climate Pledge Fund also invests in early promising technologies, such as portable battery storage and green ammonia, that will help our future demand in energy. Number 2, grid modernization. So this is at the moment mostly done in the US, but we're increasingly looking at other parts of the world to do this. So we're working closely with utilities and regulators to improve and modernize the grids. For example, in the US, more than 75% of the grid is more than 25-year-old. And this is a great limitation for the penetration of more renewables. So by doing that, for example, in the US, we are enabling 260,000 more megawatt-hour of solar and wind just by modernizing the infrastructure. 3, continuing to improve our energy efficiency. This is continuous efforts. So using better cooling systems, using more electrification, HVAC systems that can be easily powered by renewables. And overall, as an example, our infrastructure in Europe and Asia Pacific is 5 times more efficient than average data centers. So we continue to do that. It's very important. 4th, I think renewable integration is something we're doing, is trying to invest in the most carbon-intensive grids, such as India, Poland, or the south of America, of the US. And there's a limitation to do that is the carbon accounting. That's at the moment only look at the specific grid in country, but we're trying to work toward with collaboration to have some carbon matching to improve these investments in the parts of the world who needs it the most. And lastly, sustainable buildings. We're trying to build all our buildings for net zero using low carbon steel and cement. For example, our latest fulfillment center in the US, in California, has achieved the first net zero certification. And also, our latest headquarter in Seattle is the highest LEED certification and is powered 100% by local solar projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Benwa. Okay, I agree with you for grid modernization as Didi said this morning. Okay, 41E is the key point. To be a smart grid, and we put the battery and microgrids to be smart grid for reduce the fossil energy. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, it's the last question. Dr. Wirachai again. How can academy support reduce greenhouse gas emission? Please, let's some case study. Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you. In our members, about 52 universities together in the member of TRECA, we are now setting up the program that is about renewable energies, about microgrid inside the university. That is, we try to promote the higher technology, about the high-end technologies, about wind, solar, and battery hybrid system. Nowadays, we set this program, and then we have some supporter from private sector and from government. And we hope that for the next future, that in my point of view, that as a TRECA, a member, we promote SWB. SWB means solar, wind, and battery. Okay, and I think no one can beat wind, solar, and battery now for the next 10 years. For microgrid or for smart grid. Okay, but university academic person have to promote and teach our staff and our students to support technology. This is the main point of the target of our organization, TRECA. We're going to promote 52 universities together that going to EV charging station. That the charging station is not used from fossil. Okay, the charging station it comes from wind, solar, and the big bulk of energy storage. And then the energy storage from lithium or flowback, vanadium, that's going to support the electric to the EV car. Because we want to promote that the EV car could not and should not use the fossil electric. Okay, because if you want to declare the world that you're going to use renewable energy, you're going to use EV car, the sources from the electric could come from renewable energy. It's not from mine, coal, or gas station. Okay, that is not effective to the performance of the electric car. Okay, that's why we set this program we call SWB, solar, wind, and battery lithium for EV charging station inside university. Okay, because if academic person, the student, engineer that we are teaching in our university, the member of TRECA, they understanding about how technology can hybrid with the fossil. Okay, together that we can increase the knowledge to community. Okay, because our student engineer that we are teaching, engineer in renewable energy, engineer, mechanical, electrical engineer, when they graduate, they're going back to their community, and then they transfer knowledge to the people in community. And I hope that in the future, no one can beat SWB for next 10 years. That is my point of view that I'm doing about renewable energy. Solar, wind, and battery is the best number one, and beat the national grid. And the price, the fossil going to decline. Like one time for 50 years ago, we used the phone from the live phone or something like that. Nowadays they are gone in the public. You never see the phone that talking in the line anymore. We have mobile phone. The same energy box going to be SWB, solar, wind, and battery, or another energy storage. It could come from hydrogen, okay, or lithium, vanadium, or another source of air compressed for the energy storage. That they're going to be national grid. The price and also CO2 is the one that going to force the fossil going to lose in the public, and no one can beat them because these resources it never die. Because wind and solar is the god of the world and in the galaxy. Okay, that's why we promote on this in academic in university nowadays, and we set this program, and we are welcome to join. We start for solar, wind, energy storage for microgrid internal of our member university. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a good point. I agree with Dr. Wirachai, because the first microgrid in Thailand is the northern of Thailand, Mae Hong Son, Mae Sariang. The first project 6 years ago is very success because this is like for academy study and implement and it's like announced to everywhere in Thailand right now. Increase microgrid 5 projects already, and Iceland off grid and on grid also is a good point. Okay, I would like to give microphone back to audience. If one is interested or some question to ask to our key speaker, okay? The question and answer, okay? Because the time, the limitation, okay? Okay, if no question, okay, again we have, and there again, okay. How do we use energy storage for utility and non-utility scale-ups or solar power plants? Okay.
I think storage is a game changer, except for the price, of course, right? Everybody knows that. But it's a huge game changer because now with storage, whether it's battery storage, thermal storage, hydro, pump storage, it allows us to now use renewable where we can't control it, solar, wind, and to actually use it when we need it, right? Match it with the demand. It's a huge thing for me to be looking at and developing projects with storage. The project that we're working on right now in Indonesia to basically export 3.5 gigawatt of solar to turn into 600 megawatt of basically AC power into Singapore. That's because we have 12 gigawatt hours of storage, right? So without that, we couldn't do this. We couldn't just send out electricity from solar to Singapore when they may not need it. In a lot of the places in rural communities that I've also worked in Indonesia, there's 700 solar mini grid with all of it with batteries running 24 hours, right? And then, so let me ask, how many of us here are power engineers working in utility companies, right? Now we start, with storage becoming a lot more accessible, we no longer have to think of base load, right? What's base load? It's just something that is, what's the minimum amount of power that's needed at any time. So with storage, we can handle that. We can use solar as base load if you want to think about it that way. But now it's all about serving the load, right? What does the load curve look like? How do we serve it with solar, wind, bio, anything, right? So I think that the biggest changer of utilization of renewable, solar especially, is storage. Now, if we can get storage to be a bit more, whether it's storage to be cheaper and more accessible, or making fossil fuel more expensive. Right now in Indonesia and many other Southeast Asian countries, coal and fuel are capped in pricing, right? There's subsidies. Like in Indonesia, if you buy fuel, if you buy your gasoline in Papua in the middle of nowhere, as long as you buy it from the state-owned pumps, it's the same price as you would pay in Jakarta, which is about 40 cents, right? But it's in Papua. It has to get there. The government is paying for it, right? But if we can, conversely, making the use of fossil fuel more expensive, then storage can be more widespread. But then, again, kind of going back a bit wider, what's the economic impact of that, right? If we make it more expensive, would the economies, be a little bit more expensive? We pay more for goods. So it is, what I'm trying to end at here is that even though storage is a big game changer, we need to be looking at the whole thing. Carbon uses, what's the carbon use of producing it? What's the carbon use of fossil fuels instead of using storage and therefore utilizing renewable. So it is a bigger picture. We have to be looking at it not just the businesses that we can deal at, in this room and meeting our own individual goals, but also let's look at the bigger picture. The world, the domestic economy, the international economy, the regional economy, and all of that stuff has to be looked at. Thanks.
Thank you, Elias. Very good question. Okay, it's the last question come from audience. Okay, we have the 5 minutes left. Mr. Richards, again, what role does energy solid play in scale up the solar industry and renewable more broadly? Okay, Richards. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think for us at Jera Next, we have several investments into existing storage technologies, mainly battery storage. So in Japan, we have an operational offshore wind farm called the Shikari Bay, 112 megawatts, with a co-located battery storage facility at 10 megawatts. In Europe, we have an investment into a large solar development platform called Zenobi that are developing at scale, sort of circa 200 megawatt, 250 megawatt size battery storage systems. And I think what we find is that, a good example on off-grid, decentralized storage, we heard earlier, but for us, we're looking more at utility scale storage. And I think the two issues that we're seeing are being able to develop and deliver at scale, because that's really where the economies are to be found and where it makes sense from an LCOE perspective, as well as hybridization. And then secondly, it's about understanding what the revenue stack looks like. For a generation project, you look for a route to market, that's a bit more straightforward, but for battery storage, you're really looking in the world in the market of ancillary services, whether you can get some sort of availability or capacity payment or something along those lines. And in some markets, that's really difficult, and we are seeing real headwinds from banks who will not provide long-term finance against some revenue uncertainty. So there's challenges ahead, but there's definitely opportunities. I read that there's about 323 megawatts of solar storage in the ASEAN region that's in development and close to FID. That's going to grow to 6 gigawatts. So that's going to make a huge difference to improving the penetration of renewables into the overall market. But I come back again to the same point that we've been making a few times, is that renewables is a part play in this, right? There's a lot more to go at in terms of decarbonisation, and renewables is a small part, but an important part, and it's good that we're here to discuss. But it's also really important to think about the bigger picture as well.
Thank you. All right, it's time out. Okay, thank you very much for audience and key speaker. Okay, I give this on stage to organizer. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you so much for an amazing discussion panel. And